So interesting. My mind is blowing right now. This would be part two of this deep thought in this 60 days of healing that I'm experiencing here on day 10. Wow. So I was on a bike ride, as you'll have seen in the first video, and the weather shifted in an instant, and I was just in the middle of deeply contemplating the ocean and the raindrop as being the same thing, because it is. And can the same thing even contain different elements? Like oh, maybe this raindrop is more acidic than the ocean. Well, but the ocean has that same acid in it. It just may not be cumulatively as concentrated as that particular raindrop. And this all came from this idea of judgment, right? Can you really judge something as being outside of yourself? And to me, right now, the answer is no. And you know, all water is the ocean. So this idea that something could be negative is your idea, because it takes perception, right? So it's your perception. So, for example, you know what, I don't even want to do examples, see, because you know that it bears the resemblance of an opportunity for contradiction. So, you know, like, you may say, well, let's take sexual energy, for example. You know, somebody may come in and say, oh, well, you know, there's perverts out there that have, you know, sexual energy for animals or something like that. Now, okay, to deny that has happened or may never happen again, or may happen again, is at what level does the delusion begin? That you are creating that? Because it takes your perception. The verb sense, right? Your senses are, you know, that's not the verb part. So you're using your senses to sense. So it's all yours. Just as the raindrop, each individual raindrop is the ocean. Everything that you perceive is yours. And you know that there may be a level of consciousness that understands all of this, right? As long as I perceive that there's a level of consciousness that does not, well, then I want to help myself recognize this. Since I am lucid dreaming right now, I can create all the awareness for everything that I see. One raindrop can structure the ocean, just like one drop of water can structure a 5-gallon jug of water. If once one molecule touches another, that positive vibration, that frequency is instantly felt to anything that could be touching it. Even if it is simply sitting in a jar, a glass jar next to another glass jar, but the glass jars are touching, eventually all the molecules have the potential to harmonize So if I perceive that we are collectively creating negative energy, well, I want to take ownership for that. So how do I take ownership? Well, I begin my healing, right? Because the only way that you can heal what you perceive is to heal this first, right? Because then I can no longer blame any quote-unquote outside elements, right? It's all me. So at some level, right? So here's where it gets really tricky. So let's say somebody wants you to take responsibility for something. Well, isn't that just them that needs to take responsibility of something? Maybe. Who's the one that created this, though? If you're judging another, so let's say you decide to cut someone out of your life. Why did you do that? Because if you're ignoring a reflection, well, it's just going to continue to show up until you understand it or understand it. And if you are perceiving it as negative, well, then how can you not see the reflection as doing the same thing? Because if you have a story, well, and it includes another, let's say it includes another human, well, then now that human has a story too. It may not be the same story either. But if one has a story and you're including another, well, then of course that human has another story. So now you're creating the potential for disharmony, and it's not true. So it's an illusion. Everything is constantly in harmony. It has to be. And then, now of course, the ego wants to pop in and say, well, what about this? Well, what about Donald Trump? Or what about this, that, and the other thing? What about commercial beekeeping using artificial insemination? Doesn't that hurt bees? Or what about the chemicals being sprayed? Doesn't that hurt this? And okay, but why go there right now? Right now. What if we all took responsibility for everything that we see and quieted the mind? Like me right now. Why am I even making this video? Because I am the one perceiving this idea of separation and this idea of lack of harmony, when every raindrop is the ocean. And the way that I could tell that this is true is while I was in deep contemplation and the weather shifted in an instant and it began to rain. I run so hot that I can't swim in the ocean. It's too cold for me. My blood is so cold and I run so hot that just putting my toe in the ocean chills me to the point to where I can't even consider jumping in, right? Well, I made up a story that my favorite spot to be in the ocean is gone. And that was the warm ponds. And I've got quite a few really good stories about things that would pertain to what it is I am exactly talking about. But for whatever reason, when I am in the rain, I'm cold. It is why I love the tropics so much, because the weather is exactly my climate. It's hot, it's muggy, and it's what I need. Almost like a snake. Almost like a serpent, if you will, like needing that moisture yet ridiculously hot environment. And like there's another judgment right there. Like this idea that a snake, we've labeled a snake to be this, that, and the other thing. Well, you are everything. So, is a snake not a beautiful creature? Isn't everything in nature beautiful? Isn't everything that God created perfect? So, you can certainly get into, now we're breaking up the conversation into these little microclimates, if you will. But that was the point that I was about to go off on. Here I am, riding my bike with perceivably like a good half mile to get back. Now the sun is coming out. Very funny. When I talked about the environment that I thrive in, this hot, humid environment, it came back. And earlier when it began to rain, it was when I was creating this idea of separation, this idea of anxiety, this idea of a lack of harmony, this perceived idea that there's possibly something negative. And I'm in day 10 of this healing journey. And I'm realizing more and more that this entire journey has been that. So, anyway, to continue speaking on the raindrops, okay, let's finally get to that point. Whenever I feel rain, I get really cold. So mind you, I'm just in a pair of shorts riding my bike at the ocean, and I've got a half mile to go. And I'm in the rain, and I pull over underneath a tree, and now the raindrops are much bigger because they have collected on the leaves, and now they're dropping on me. And they felt so good. Like as if it was the same temperature as my body. No longer did I feel frighteningly cold by this idea of rain falling on me. So I just got out there into it and rode my bike the rest of the way home. The sun completely gone. And it's as though the rain matched my body temperature. Or did I make it that way? I don't know. All I know is I'm feeling very, very humble right now. And I'm feeling full of gratitude. And this 60 days of healing is really potent, powerful energy. And I'm happy to share it. And wildly free. Yeah, it feels good. So, thank you for taking a moment of your day to share in this experience with me. And this raindrop is full of aloha right now. So I hope that the ocean is structured with aloha.